Okay, let's see. I think it's possible. We could be doing a show. I don't know.
Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
I'm working on it.
And you know, when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what?
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
Excellent. Okay. I'm just going to get started. So, hi, everybody. Hello. Oh, why am I sitting? Oh, and my hair is see-through because I went too far with the green screen. I was trying to fix it, and then I... During the show, I apologize. It is just gnarly. Like, oh, you can't hear me? Why can't you hear me? You can hear me. There you go. Hold on. Sound. There you go. You couldn't hear me? What the what? No, what? No, what? Where I have to start over again. Okay, so hi. I'll turn the mic on and then the mic's not on. I don't get it. I don't understand. It's all right. So what I was saying was I gacked up my shoulder something fierce, and the only thing that, like, the only way it feels okay is if it's I'm holding this arm up and doing this because it's pinched back here. It just sucks. And it's not one of those things, it's not, nothing's gonna, like, nothing's gonna change it. It's just gonna heal on its own. I'm not, like, there's nothing, it's just one of those things. And, quit it. I wasn't adjusting. It was because of the mic wasn't on in the other scene. It's fine. I'm okay. So, I don't think I'm as see-through as I was. Hold on, let's bring this down a little bit. Okay, we'll just leave it at that for now. So that's yes, physical therapy is your friend. I agree. Yes. And driving all night and come back to do the show Wednesday, and then Phil couldn't even be there wasn't helpful. So it's just a thing. And so if I'm fidgety and I'm just doing shit like this, if I, at some point I'm listening, you just know I'm like in searing pain. However, I want to be here with you guys. So here I am. Ugh. And you guys stop fucking with me in the staff chat. Yes. Does it hurt when you do that? Yes. Well, don't do that. I know. I get it. All right. So it reminds me of one of my favorite jokes. Is the guy who walks into the doctor's office and goes, "Doc, oh God, I think I'm dying. My whole body hurts everywhere. It's just pain, searing pain, my whole body." And he's like, "Your whole body?" He goes, like, "Show me, like, where does it hurt?" He goes, "Well, it hurts here. Oh God. Oh, it hurts here. Oh, it hurts there too. Oh, it hurts here. It hurts here." And he goes, "Okay, first of all, your finger's broken." It's a stupid joke, but I like it. All right. I'm going to become Dave Allen at large if it kills you. So, and I have like 2 icy hot patches on, and they're going to die halfway through this bullshit. I just know it. And I'm beginning to think, ladies and gentlemen, if I may, that quite frankly, watch out for the high quality imagery here in translating from our dear friend. That's Megyn Kelly, everybody. You might recognize her from your esthetician. She's the one who's always beating you in line for Botox. And who, has successfully had the fat sucked out of her cheeks and put in her cheeks on repeated things or whatever. I don't know. I just feel like every time I see a picture of Megyn Kelly right now, I feel like they're like, when did they turn the Barbie movie into a horror film? It's like a cross between Megyn and, yeah. You always seem like one who just toughs it. I kind of am, Georgina. I try. By the way, hi chat room. You guys are lovely. Hello. Um, so yeah. Yeah, it's super odd. Like she's just kind of a mess. And I have to say, it's a bit of a Georgia O'Keeffe background. I'm just saying as a piece of advice, ladies, if you're ever about to be interviewed by Donald Trump, don't put vaguely labia-esque artwork behind you, considering his tendencies. Which of course if you'll recall, I made a little thumbnail. I've been fucking around with content aware Phil, who's a great guy, by the way. And it allows you to just kind of like mess with photos. And I was just like, the weird part is that I put a little witch hat on her in that because of the dress largely. But look at the body language here. Look at him just kind of like, hey, how about them titties? You know, he's got like his hands are out like this in the original picture. Yeah. And she's just like, get the fuck back. And there's a considerable amount of distance. The table isn't in the middle. It's near her. So she doesn't have to lean to reach for her fucking water. I put the skull there. And then the classified documents, I put those in. And it was pretty funny. Anyway, so my voice is loud enough, I think, isn't it? Yeah. Hey. All right. So, oh, God, this is going to suck. I just know it. But I'm going to try because I'm already irritated. Because you know what? God damn it. Trump has to do this stupid interview with this awful person. And she quit Fox News because of assholes like this. Because of his buddy, Roger Ailes. And all the sexual harassment and shit they went through. And here she is interviewing this prick. But anyways, as aggravating as this is, I could be doing what I'd like to do, which is be reading the entire Hunter Biden lawsuit against the Garrett Ziegler, who used to work in the White House. I've already started it, and it's fucking fantastic. And you know what? I have to say, I appreciate that he's got good lawyers who are drafting things in legalese, right? But I would like to say for the record, if I may, that they're basically using every argument I have made for fucking 3 years now. I mean, it's honest to God. It's like, can I just say I nailed it? Like I'm like, even the responses to this from the writer, like he doesn't even admit the fucking laptop is his. Like, yeah, cause it isn't. I do need a rack. I need one of those like incline, like I had one of those reverse incline things, you stretchy things, a long time ago. It got lost in the move. It was sad. It was it was like lost to COVID. All right, let's get into this because it's going to take a while, and I don't even know if we'll get through all of it today. We might do a chunk of it and then do because Comer's out there just being a dipshit. They just interviewed him. This is a shorty, and then apparently McCarthy is apparently people are upset with him because the impeachment inquiry is a big pile of bullshit. And then, of course, I seem to be getting to Glenn Beck. I'm very proud. I feel like, there are milestones and there are fucking milestones. And I gotta say, this is my stuff is just driving them ape shit, because I'm right all the time. All right, let's get into this. Here we go. Sit back. Let's go.
Taxrelief.org. COVID tax relief. Dr. President.
Oh, that's right. By the way,
taxrelief.org.
One of her
COVID
ads.
Tax relief.
Her fucking ad, her opening ad is like for the government's, like for a company that helps you find the COVID money from the government for you. The fucking nerve. Like she opens her show with what is effectively a Republican ribbon cutting at an infrastructure project at the beginning. Fuck.
.org.
org. Not even com. It's not even a fucking profit-making endeavor. Megyn Kelly. Megyn Commies, more like it. This is my fabulous hair from a long, long time ago. I think I'm ready. I'm so excited for this show. All right.
Mr. President, thank you so much for doing this.
Well, thank
Mr. Former President.
you.
All right, so let's
Well, thank you. And I'm looking right at your legs, right there. I'm pretending to look at your notes, but I'm really looking at your pins. This is how they get me every time. They distract me with their pins. Nice set of getaway sticks you got there, lady.
start with the impeachment news. Yesterday, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said that the House is going to begin an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. I know you were supportive of it. Some people believe this could do for him with Democrats what the indictments did for you with Republicans, rally support around him. Do you think there's any risk of that?
Look, he's a horrible president.
And as somebody who's about to go to jail, I think I know what horrible is.
Our country is going to hell.
No, it's not. Although I want to say, for the record, dum-dum, Megyn Kelly got all the good lights. And they put a fucking fluorescent over your head because she hates your guts. I'm just saying.
Whether it's impeachment or not impeachment, this man is destroying our country at the border. He's destroying it economically. Inflation's way up now. You see what happened just today. That's up to them if they want to do impeachment or impeachment inquiry. I never had an inquiry. Nancy Pelosi, crazy.
That's because you were in the process of, you had a whistleblower who came forward. Nobody had to inquire because somebody went, hey, this motherfucker's breaking the law. And then the second time, it was January goddamn 6th. Nobody was like, I don't know, was Jan 6 bad? Let's sit around and chat about it.
Nancy said, we're going to impeach him. They didn't do inquiries. They went out and they voted because they had the votes. And
because they had the votes. Because there was a significant number of people who believe they had the evidence. So
as usual, everybody votes, for the Democrats. It's a little bit easier. They didn't have Mitt Romneys of the world, and that's really nice because now he's not running today, as you know. He just announced. I think that's great for the Republican Party, for the country, and for Utah. But that's going to be up to them whether or not they want to do it. I have no idea whether they will or not. We do have a lot of other things, but it's quite important, and they did it to me.
And I'm still mad. And what was the question?
And had they not done it to me, I think, and nobody officially said this, but I think had they not done it to me, and I'm very popular in the, they like me and I like them, the Republican Party, perhaps you wouldn't have it being done to them. And this is going to happen.
I see. So is this just revenge? That's why it's an inquiry to try and find something because they were able to impeach you fucking twice. Oh, God, this is so
with
lame.
Indictments, too. They have fake indictments, and I think you're going to see that
no,
as
they're
time
real.
goes by. You're going to see...
Oh, no. Oh, no. The same grand jury in Georgia that indicted you indicted 61 Antifa people. Same fucking people. Even if it was different DAs, the same grand juries were like, yep, fuck that guy. Yep, fuck him too.
Republicans, when they're in power, doing it. And it's a shame when that happens. I'm not in favor of that, but that's what's going to happen because that's human nature.
Would you do it if you became president again? Turn the indictment tables on the Dems?
Well, I would think about it differently. I would have never even thought of doing it, but now you certainly have to...
What the fuck was lock her up about then? What do you mean I would have even thought about it? He literally in the debate with Hillary Clinton said, you'd be in, she's like, it's a good thing he's not in charge of the Justice Department. She goes, because you'd be in jail. Never even thought about it. Get the fuck out of here.
Think about it differently. It doesn't mean I do it because I think it's so bad for the...
But that is true. He does say a lot of shit that he doesn't actually do, like get out of Afghanistan, for example.
Country. Yesterday, President Putin of Russia used this as an example of what a rotten country we are, that they go after their political opponent. And other...
Yeah, geez, he's siding with you against our functioning democracy. Weird.
Countries are doing that too. Other countries that don't like us are doing that. They're saying it's the biggest story.
So what you're saying is countries that don't like us are siding with you. Countries that don't like us think we shouldn't be prosecuting you. They think you should be able to run for president. Is that what you... Does that seem like to anybody... Yeah, right.
They love it. because it makes us look very bad. It makes us look very bad, and they're fake
Yeah, and the whole PR thing, you know.
indictments. There's Fannie Willis and all of these people. These are all fake indictments, and
No, they're not. They're very, very fucking real, as you're going to find out.
I don't know how much my polls have gone. I was doing well before this, but I don't know what impact it's had on my polls, but we're way up above the Republicans, and we're way up on
Way up above the Republicans. You're a Republican. You what do you mean above the Republicans? You're supposed to be one. Jesus Christ. Like, I'm a carpetbagger, by the way.
Biden.
Well, let's talk about the allegations against the Bidens for a minute, because
Yeah, let's do it.
this was something you tried to raise when you ran against Biden in 2020. I watched you at that presidential debate try to raise these very issues that now the House is investigating.
Right.
Why do you think that didn't gain traction?
Well,
Because there was no evidence, and there still isn't.
it's different when it's a Republican doing it and a Democrat. The press is fake news. I think I'm very proud of certain
Good Lord.
things. I've shown open borders. I've shown crime. I've shown a lot of things, but I've also
You know what? He just said something true. Did you guys see it? This is classic Trump. We got to lay this next to this great quote.
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
Yes, he's about to say, I've sown crime.
certain things. I've shown open borders. I've shown crime. I've shown
He's sown crime. There, he admitted it. There it is. Confession. He confessed. I've sown crime. The weed of crime bears bitter fruit. Crime does not pay. The shadow knows.
a lot of things, but I've also shown that the press is fake. And if I say something, even if it's true, they don't want to talk about it. You know, it's really what they don't talk about more than what they talk about. They don't talk about it.
Jesus Christ, they don't talk. Oh, God. I thought, wasn't this guy the king of media? Isn't he amazing? You know, with the press, he just farts out some bumper sticker and everybody covers it because he's just a genius at marketing. And I thought he had he's got the media's lonely without him. And wait,
Things. You know this better than anybody.
you know this better than anybody because you quit working at Fox because you were sexually harassed by a buddy of mine.
Brought it up at the debate, Chris Wallace, who tried awfully hard to be his father, but he hasn't got the talent. And what happened, Mike Wallace, who was great, who interviewed
Yeah, tell her who she looks young, so she might not know who Mike Wallace is. You know, Gramps.
me actually in 60 Minutes. He actually gave me probably the only good interview he's ever done, meaning a nice interview. He liked me and I liked him. He was a tough cookie, but he was good and a total pro. But Chris will never be that. But at the debate, he was moderating, and I said,
Yes, interviews were a lot easier for Trump when people actually believed his billion-dollar bullshit.
what about the mayor of Russia's wife? He's the mayor of Moscow's wife.
Oh my fucking God. Really? We're still bringing this up? Elena Butina, the mayor of Moscow's wife, who gave money to Rosemont Seneca's real estate arm, that money went directly to a fund overseen by Devin Archer. Hunter Biden had nothing to do with that. If you think it is criminal to take that money, then why the fuck are you listening to Devin Archer and having him be your fucking witness? Because he's the one who got all of that money.
Now, you have the mayor of Moscow, him, married to a woman. He
Yeah, okay, so he's straight. Good. I think that's better in Moscow. They're not very gay friendly, so
passed away, left her a vast fortune from being the mayor, okay? I mean, this is a nice way to make money. And she gave
He didn't make money, but he's a fucking crook. He was corrupt as shit.
$3.5 million to Biden.
No, he
And I
didn't.
brought that up during the debate, and Chris Wallace said, this has nothing to do with any...
It's bullshit. We now know from Devin Archer's own goddamn testimony and the actual wire transfer paperwork from that the House now has that money didn't go to Hunter Biden. It went to Devin Archer. It went to a subsidiary of Rosemont Seneca that does real estate that Devin Archer ran, that Hunter Biden had nothing to do with at that point. Oy, good Lord. Not only was it not germane at the time and bullshit at the time, it's now more obviously bullshit. Good Lord.
Well, now it's the biggest subject. Everyone's talking about it.
No, they're not.
And now they go back.
Yes, they are talking about how stupid it is because you want Devin Archer to be your magic witness. He shit the bed in his deposition on your whole, like, they talk business. He's like, they talked weather.
To that debate, and that debate's getting a lot of look-see, and it's a shame.
A look-see. It's getting a lot of look-see. Are they giving it a little look-see, or it's getting a lot of look-see? Either way you look at it, they're getting look-see, look-see-loo. I'm taking a little look-see-loo at your knees right now.
That they didn't do it. Chris Wallace should have never done what he did. He tried to stifle it. I mean, literally, I was like debating two people. I was actually debating 1 1/4. I would say Wallace would be 1 and Biden was 1/4. But he was just standing
For the record, Trump lost the debates handily. Like, he got his ass handed to him.
there. But I said, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave him $3.5 million. I want to find out why.
No, she didn't.
What did he do to earn this money?
Tried to raise
and
that.
they wouldn't do
You
that.
tried to raise China. You tried to
China?
raise the laptop.
Yeah.
You got shut down.
Everything.
And they didn't want to discuss it on
laptop?
social media. Got banned
There
on
is no
Twitter,
Hunter
the New
Biden
York Post,
laptop.
all those stories. Let me shift gears and ask you, now that Joe Biden's in the office, there
Now that your October surprise ate shit and you fucked up in the debates and lost, even when you thought there was littered with evidence everywhere, and your little bombs that you dropped in there didn't work the way they might have worked on Hillary Clinton because people recognized you as the threat you were in 2020, and Biden handed you your ass. Let's just talk about let's talk about reality for just 1 second.
There was just a poll out. 77% of Americans say that Joe Biden at age 80 is too old to be president. Are they right?
No, not for the reason of old, because I have many friends that are in their 80s. I have friends, Bernie
It would be the reason of age, not for the reason of old. As in, because people call it old.
Marcus, that are in their 90s and they're sharp as a tack. I would say just about what they used to be. No, not old. He's incompetent. He's not too old. He's incompetent. And age is interesting because some people are very sharp and some people do lose it, but you lose it at 40 and 50 also. No, he's not too old at all. Is
that when you lost it?
Incompetent. You look
About
at some
him,
of the
not
great.
his age.
You look at some of the great world leaders. They were in their 80s. And
Yeah, Pol Pot. Yeah. All the great dictators who died in their bed after wiping out hundreds of millions of people.
they did. Churchill.
Hundreds of thousands. Millions of people. Split that up.
So many people. They were phenomenal in their 80s. There's a great wisdom if you're not in a position like him. But if
There's a great wisdom. Tell us some of your, you're almost 80. Give us some nuggets.
you go back 25 years, he wasn't the sharpest tack either.
And he still kicked your ass. How'd that work out? That's kind of funny. It was kind of a weird thing for him to experience. Where is this? What was the whole thing? There's a button for this.
Here I am like an idiot.
Right. Sorry. Just kind of need to.
Ron DeSantis has come out to say that 80-year-olds shouldn't be president, that if you're the nominee, the GOP will lose age as a cudgel to use against Joe Biden. Does he have
Because you're really showing your age.
a fair
right?
point?
Well, if he's the nominee, they'll lose because he's a lousy candidate. So I'd rather take on the age issue. I feel I'm physically extremely good. I feel the same way I did 40 years ago. I feel as good as I've ever felt. Athletically, I'm just about as good as I ever was. I
believe.
certain things. I play golf. I win club championships and I beat people that are 20.
Of the clubs that you own, you win your own club championships. Jesus Christ, he's like a villain from Caddyshack 3.
5 years younger than me. I hit the ball just as far as I actually think I hit it a little bit further. But
Jesus.
Just at this club, this is a big club with a lot of good members.
Because
You must have
club
good
technology
genes,
has gotten
Mr.
better?
President, Because you eat McDonald's. I know you love chocolate. You love the Diet Coke. How are you doing that? How?
Well, it's really a parental thing, much more so than I believe in the racehorse theory. Fast horses produce fast horses. It's a little bit about your parents. My parents were very good. They lived to an old age. My
old
father
age?
He lived old. He lived into his 90s, well into his 90s. And my mother
He lived old.
lived quite a life.
Okay,
Right, but did he eat the same shit you did? What are you talking about?
let's talk policy, immigration in particular.
Yeah, the border's terrible. How is a terrible border? Tell us about the border's terrible. And then tell us why, after Title 42 was dropped, border crossings cut in half.
As of late, recently, we've seen several Democratic lawmakers speaking out after their cities, including New York, but many others, are overrun by the influx of migrants who have come to the country illegally. They want.
Well, the border cities, especially like border towns in the border area, have centers to process people. They are bypassing those and dropping them off in cities that do not have them, and at random, not coordinated. Not saying, here come these people, we're transitioning them to you, or letting them know. They're dropping them off in the middle of the night, basically dumping homeless on the street. It's what LA's had to deal with, like Arizona and some other states dropping their mental patients on the street in Skid Row. That happened. There was a big scandal about that in the 90s.
Federal money. They want President Biden to fast track work permits for these people. They want mostly for these migrants to go elsewhere.
Right.
What should be done about this problem?
Well, they're going to have to talk up because no country or city or state is sustainable doing this. You have thousands of people. I was in New York. I saw.
There's 7 million people in fucking New York. The only reason they can't process them is because they're dropped in like without any coordination. Good Lord.
On Madison Avenue, there's just magnificent shops. Madison Avenue, Fifth Avenue, the greatest. Madison Avenue, thousands and thousands of people. And they're sitting on the street. They're not even on the sidewalk because there's not enough room on the sidewalk. And you have these beautiful stores that are paying a lot of rent, and they have to sell luxury merchandise, and that goes to the city and
they do have to,
taxes and all these other things. And they're not going to be able to stay in business. The money that's being lost in these cities, Chicago.
Hold on. Again, these aren't the neighborhoods they're dropping these folks into or where they're being moved to. Like, what the fuck? He's like, they're in front of Tiffany's. They're blocking the road. Those are Americans, homeless, stupid.
Los Angeles. Yeah. So now you have the massive crime problem, and it's vast in Democrat-run cities. On top of that, you have the migrants or the illegal aliens, many different names, but the illegal aliens pouring in, going into the cities, and it's sad because the mayor of New York, he knows that it's a very horrible thing, and they're afraid to take on the Democrat Party. You know, it's very hard to take on the Democrat Party. Look at RFK Jr. They're not giving him the vote. I mean, they're saying you have to get a vast number of votes in order to even qualify. They're
you do.
making it impossible for him.
Well, this is the guy who just didn't go. He just skipped the Republican debate because he thinks everybody else doesn't have a fucking chance.
You know, they're essentially rigging the election, which they're very good at.
No, they're not. We already have a candidate. He's already in the White House. He kicked your ass. This is silly.
So,
and by the way, I'm normally on Earth 1, people would be attacking RFK's weird fixation on Ashkenazi Jews and the idea that China attacked us with a bioweapon while this guy was president, which would mean literally the worst terrorist attack or bioweapon attack in American history happened on his watch. And he sold the people who did it the largest order of beef in our history.
How do you get them out of there? Like, you take over as president, what are you going to do?
Well, you're going to have to move them out. Look, this is not sustainable.
Yeah, we get that. Yes, she's ceding the point. How?
By this country. So I think the number will be at the end of the year 15 million people. It's not going to be.
Oh, my God, because he keeps jacking up the number. It's because the migrant brand is so big. It makes the number
3 million,
larger.
2 million. I think it's going to be 15 million. But the truth is we have no idea because they're pouring in. Also, they come from prisons. They come
from mental institutions.
From insane asylums. They come from mental institutions.
Both.
And there's vast numbers of terrorists. I saw just on one of the shows during the weekend.
Michelle is not running. You're a silly person.
That in 2019, that was me, we had no terrorists come in, no terrorists. They knew that they couldn't come in. We were very tough.
What?
Zero. It actually said zero, which is shocking because I'm sure a couple got in.
We just didn't see him, right? Because we didn't care. It said zero, but it's almost as if the people in my administration crafted the stats to my liking.
And then I see over the last couple of years, it was large, hundreds and hundreds of terrorists coming in.
No, hundreds of terrorists, or people from countries that have terrorists in them caught. That's not the same thing.
But I noticed in 2019, it said 0. I don't know if I even believe it myself.
Yeah,
but it showed you that we had a tough policy. And now it's hundreds and hundreds of terrorists are coming in. Thousands and thousands of prisoners and people from mental institutions are pouring into our country. And this is not sustainable. This is not sustainable. When you look at New York and you look at the streets and the people that can't even walk on the sidewalks.
When the fuck has this asshole been on the streets in New York? Lately. He moved to Florida. He bugged out.
They're taking up the schools.
Yeah, that's true. Kids are having to muscle 35-year-old male immigrants out of the way because they're taking up space in the library. All right. Who has the Transformers movie book? That I had dibs on that.
We're going to educate people that don't speak a word of English.
Wow, how are we going to do that? How would we educate people who don't speak English? Now, obviously, Americans are born speaking English, so we don't have that problem with our children. Let's see. Yes, American babies speak English right out of the vagina. Just pow! Full sentences. No, just me.
I mean, our students have enough problems, but they're giving them cell phones. You know the amazing thing? Everybody has a cell phone. I was watching yesterday, and there are hundreds of people sitting on the sidewalk, and these are illegal immigrants, and they all have cell phones. And I say, number one, how did they get the cell phone? Number two, you have to pay your bill, right? Who pays their bill?
Okay, prepaid phone cards, that's how. Also, NGOs will provide them to people so that they can show up where they need to be. If they have an asylum claim and they want to stay here, they got to show up for their hearings and for their meetings with their supervisor or whoever's in charge of their particular case. It's grown-up shit. You wouldn't understand it.
But every one of them, they're all looking at the cell phone. They're making calls. And they just came over the border illegally. Now, we had a very strong border. We had the strongest border in history. We had the lowest numbers, the best numbers in history. And it wasn't easy. We built 500 miles of wall. We were going to build another 200 miles. It was under construction. Would have been done in 3 weeks. And they stopped it.
What? No, why did you stop it? It was already done, allegedly, in November of 2020. You were still president till January 21st. Why the fuck did you stop?
We had a rigged election, as you probably heard, and they stopped it. They stopped this from being built.
Well,
they could have had it done. They could have had it done in...
Again, by the way, her body language right now, like every time his hands go to his crotch.
Period of 3 weeks, and they stopped it. But regardless...
Can I ask you about that, though? Because that is one thing that your critics say would have helped to keep some of these migrants out, a wall.
Why? If the rest of it didn't work, he said he finished it. If it was finished and they were just going to do extra, why didn't the actual wall you built stop anybody? Why did it get worse? I blame the wall.
So whatever happened with that? Because
we built it.
What Border Patrol says is we only added 46 miles. So
okay.
You said you're going to do 1,000.
Yeah, Border Patrol doesn't say that. Who says that are Democrats when they try. So you have hundreds of miles.
Let me set up the numbers. You tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah, go ahead.
In 2016, you said there was going to be a border wall up across about 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if I said 1,000, but I said whatever.
I mean, it's 2,000 miles long, but we have rivers and we have
you
other
have
barriers.
of the 2,000 miles, you need it on 500 to 600 miles because you have rivers and desert. You have a lot of different bad conditions.
So they said when Barack Obama left office, we had 654 miles covered, and that you were going to get us to 1,000, and that you only added less than 50 miles of wall.
Okay, ready?
You go.
So what they say is that if there's a board lying on the ground, a 2x4, that was there for 50 years and sitting there rotted, that was a wall. And that when I added a brand new wall that went up 30 feet and it's solid steel, concrete, and rebar, that was not a wall because that was just a renovation. So what they do is they call it a renovation.
Also, they call it a reno. Also, for the record, in those areas where there was just a board laying there, that that was an area where they didn't even need to police it because nobody crosses at that point because it's too dangerous. That's one of the areas where there's no natural border like a river or anything that, or a gorge that stops people from coming through. But the desert's so fucked up that they don't even bother. They didn't even add the extra fence because nobody comes through there.
If there are boards sitting on the ground, if there are nails, if there's steel sitting on the ground, there's no wall. But if it used to be a wall like 30, 40 years ago where they had just a fence because there were no walls, they had just like a little low fence or a barrier so that cars couldn't come across, and it was rotted and laying on the ground, they don't give me credit for a wall. But they do actually, because if you look at the numbers, they say, I built almost 500 miles of wall. I built almost 500.
And it didn't change shit. Again, you're building it in areas where if they had barrier, they let it go because nobody goes through there.
Some of that was wood laying on the ground that we took away, threw away, and we built a brand new wall. So what they're trying to say is that we built 50 or 60 miles of wall because there were 50 or 60 where there was never anything. But any wall that was there was decrepit. It was gone, it was rusted, it was rotted, it was laying on the ground, and we would actually just take it away. Then we built a really incredible new wall. You know, the wall that was built to the specifications of the Border Patrol. I was going to.
Oh yeah, this is the other thing too. Is because it didn't work, because it didn't do a fucking thing to stop immigration at all. Because like everywhere he puts this up, it's all throughout, all near El Paso. We're not talking about like way out in the fucking rando desert, right? This is where the wall is built is all along the area where you can see it from, places like El Paso. And it didn't do anything to change the crossings.
Do concrete plank, and they said you have to be able to see through, you have to, and they wanted steel, not concrete, and they wanted inside the steel concrete, and then they wanted rebar inside that, so it was a complicated thing. And it was built to the highest specification. I didn't want to build something that all of a sudden they say, it's no good, you can't see through it or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what they said. It's no good, you can't see through it or something.
And we built almost 500 miles, and they admit that. But what they try and do is they say, oh, there was wall there before. It wasn't wall. It was a board laying on the floor. That might have been a wall years ago.
Well, now
it's a
President
very
Biden's he's selling off the materials
terrible.
that you had allocated for new wall.
Well, just so you know, so I built almost 500 miles. Then
Also, that material was for areas where you would either have to cross Indian land or you would have to cross private property.
We're going to add 200 miles. We thought we were going to easily win the election, but the election, bad things happened. So what happened?
Yes, Biden kicked your ass.
Including COVID. COVID gave them a way of cheating. So what happened is I was going to add another 200. We would have had 700 miles, which is really a good number.
It is a good number. I like 700. It's a good number. Somebody should make a club and have some like shaky-headed old fuck who used to run for president do a show on it or something.
Needed 500. 700 would have really closed it up. After we built the almost 500, we were going to add another 200. Everything was bought. All we had to do was lift it up and do it, and they actually carted it away. I said, these people really want to have open borders. Yeah.
You also said recently that if you're reelected, you would send special forces and, quote, other military assets to Mexico to stop the...
Yeah, I saw Clear and Present Danger and took the movie with Harrison Ford and took the exact opposite message from the plot.
Drug cartels. The Mexican president is very much against this. You're going to start a war?
Well, he's a friend of mine. He's a great guy. He's a friend of mine. He's a socialist.
It's by the time this asshole runs, it might even be a woman.
But
they have elections too,
They have everything. And I think a lot of him, and he thinks a lot of me, were friends. And he said the same thing happened to him. He had a rigged election years ago. He said the exact same.
You think a lot of him, he thinks a lot of you. So you would you strike a deal with him to let fentanyl through while you were president?
Thing happened to him. No, I didn't say that. Somebody said I said that, and actually was met with great applause, if you want to know the truth. They said that I said that at a meeting.
So you're not going to
use the pen. I'm not going to say what I'm going to do. I mean, I may do something. Something has to be done. Look, we're losing, I think, 300,000 people.
Okay, but let me ask you, I get it, and I cede to you that there's a serious problem that's affecting
we're losing more
Americans.
money than if we were actually in a war.
But
not money.
a lot of the
money
Republicans
and
are saying
lives.
they're going to do this.
We're
Right.
losing more lives.
Oops.
If we were in a war, we wouldn't be losing, because I believe the number is 300,000.
But we can't have a war with Mexico.
No, it's a war on cartels. Mexico's petrified of the cartels. The cartels are running Mexico.
But if we send our troops across the southern border, you know better than I do that the
but
Mexican
they're
president,
sending-
if he doesn't like it, we're in a
Yeah,
war.
I know, but, well, I'm not too worried about that war. No, Mexico
Yeah, we could kick Mexico's ass. So even if we did, I'm not, I mean, we'd kill them.
is sending their troops into our country in the form of illegal aliens that are killing
Jesus.
people, in many cases, that are
So your good friend, the president of Mexico, is sending criminals and insane people into the country to murder Americans as what, a favor to you? To what, drive up crime so you can use that as a cudgel against Biden?
causing lots of disease and lots of problems. You know, they're coming in. I had the medical barrier that Biden dropped. I had every barrier.
What was
you
the name
could
of
have.
that?
Even the judge said, "Are you sure
I had every barrier that you can have. He means Title 42.
you want to drop this? I don't think you should drop this. This is a terrible thing." The judge actually said that because
Title 42?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Title 42. He said, you can't drop this. He's telling them, but it expired 6 months later. He said, well, if it's expired, but you don't want a ruling. The judge didn't want to do it. He said, you're going to destroy our country if you do this.
And the judge was wrong, because as soon as they stopped it, the number of crossings dropped in half.
These people
Sniff.
are destroying our country. And it's amazing. You say, why? Somebody said the vote. I said, they don't need the votes. They cheat. So they don't really need the votes. And the votes would be in a long time from now, okay?
And how the fuck are you going to get people to vote for you if they think the voting's rigged already? If Biden can rig the vote when he's not the president, you think you have any fucking shot when he is? This is the dumbest argument you can possibly make if you're trying to motivate your own voters,
They
dummy.
become citizens, but, they'd use them anyway. But it's not that. They actually must want to destroy our country. We have millions of people coming through. We have people that are sick. We have massive numbers of people from jails. They're emptying out all the jails in South America. Now, they're emptying out all the jails all over the world now. They're coming in from all over the world. This week we had 129 countries represented of people pouring into our border.
All right, he says this week, it's the same number. Like, he's been saying the same number. It's been this week 129 for fucking 3 years. Since the day he left.
Yep.
129
Coming in from the north,
Most
too.
people don't know you have that many countries. You actually have much more than that. But we had 129 countries.
How you like them apples,
represented,
lady?
Where people are coming into our country. Some of these countries, we don't even have people that speak the language of those countries. We don't even know how to teach.
Get the fuck out of here. We don't even have translators. There's like Klingons and Romulans and Farstafarians.
And then the kids end up in our classrooms and they don't speak English.
That's right. That's right.
It's a terrible situation.
Let's talk about the
They
kids
are,
and birthright
Megyn, they're
citizenship.
destroying our country.
Megyn, they're destroying our country.
Birthright citizenship is an issue that's
Yeah.
a lot of people have raised
Sure.
as part of the problem. People come here, they have a baby just so they can
Yeah, like the Russian women who come to Trump Tower in Miami. Sure, go ahead.
stay. You've said that you will end it by executive order if put back in the White House. But
Can't.
putting aside the legal questions around whether that's possible.
Some people
It
say
isn't.
you can't do that.
Some
but
people say you
I
can't.
said
Some people
I'll
say you can. But you made
You
this
can't.
promise back in 2016, and then you didn't
No, you cannot alter the Constitution via an executive order, stupid.
do it once elected. And
Yeah.
then as president, you kept saying you were going to sign an executive order on this, and you didn't. So
The
why should
lawyers-
people believe you now?
Because the lawyers didn't want me to do it, because
Because it wouldn't have worked.
the lawyers were saying you have to go through a whole big thing all over the country. You need votes of every state and everything else.
Yes, you have to modify. Oh, shit. If you're going to amend the Constitution, you have to ratify it by a plurality of states, stupid.
I would do it. One thing I'll say, when I look at the way Biden had just signs these executive orders on student loans and on everything, knowing that you can't do
Student loans are the worst.
it, knowing it's going to be overturned, I'd rather get it through Congress. And we were working to get something through Congress. So crazy. Somebody comes in, if they put 1 foot on our land, you have to take them. They have a baby. Congratulations, the baby becomes a citizen of this country. Then they have chain migration, where the baby then brings in the whole family. The whole thing is crazy.
But enough about Melania.
So the lawyers wanted to go.
Hold on. We have to. Somebody asked for this one in particular. Did I see this one? Yeah, hold on.
We have to slab it.
There you go.
Go through, and the politicians wanted to go through and get this approved through Congress and actually go through the states. That's how bad it is. Birthright citizenship. A lot of people say you have to go through states, and I'm not taking it.
Yes, you do. It's in the Constitution, fuckhead. To modify the Constitution. Oh, God. You know, I think I should be able to line item veto parts of the Constitution. Are you out of your fucking mind?
Opinion, because I don't want this. I don't want
amendment.
this. I don't want them using this in court. I happen to disagree with them, and I would have done it. I was getting ready to do it, and then COVID came in, and we had bigger problems.
But now,
again, if you could just do it by executive order, suspend it during COVID. Say, yeah, that doesn't work right now. You can't do that because we can't process it, and we can't do any of that stuff. So, like this, and then sit on it. I don't even know how it's. Oh God. Like he can't. This dude he can't even lie right.
now you say you will sign an
I'm going to
executive
do
order.
it. I will do an executive order. Yeah, 100%.
Let's talk about COVID.
And it will go nowhere.
For years, you've been saying that the reason you didn't fire Anthony Fauci.
For all the people who think it'd be possible, does anybody feel like Biden should be able to write an executive order that says that because the Constitution says well-regulated militia, the right to bear arms is predicated on you signing up for a militia and us tracking you by executive order? That's even closer to not being unconstitutional. You want him to do that by executive order? You want him to modify the Constitution? That easy? Much less fucking strike down an entire piece?
Was because he'd been there for a long time, that you would have taken heat, that it would have created a firestorm, quoting your words. Then for the first time in May...
I also said I didn't listen to him too much.
I'm getting there. But then in May, you started saying, well, he's a civil servant, so I couldn't technically. The truth is, though, not only did you not fire Fauci, who is loathed by many, millions of Republicans in particular, but also
Yeah, lunatics.
some Democrats.
By the way,
You made him a star. You made him a star. This is the criticism of you, that you made him the face of the White House coronavirus task
You think so?
force, that he was out at every presser.
You think so? Yes. Well, I will say that at one point, it was so much so that you were actually jealous of him, so you started showing up and blathering. Hence, light bulb up the ass, maybe try drinking bleach.
That he was running herd for the administration on COVID, and that you actually gave him a presidential commendation before you left office. Wouldn't you like a do-over on that?
I don't know who gave him the commendation. I really don't know who gave him the commendation.
Presidential commendation. One went out to Mark
Somebody
Milley, too.
probably handed him a commendation. He probably, but let me just tell you about Fauci.
Jesus Christ, you had to sign it, fuckhead.
Fauci was very important in the Biden administration, much less important. If you know, he didn't want to stop China. He wanted to let everyone come in from China. I stopped it. I overrode it.
Okay, we've talked about this before, but it's not that he didn't want them to like stop flights and that kind of stuff. He basically said it's too late. It's already here. You can't just do that. All Trump wanted to do was like, let's just lock down the borders and not let anybody fly in. We'll be fine. And just keep on keeping on. And Fauci was like, no, it's already here. It's going to move across the country. It's, that's not the biggest fit. And by the way, at that point, American Airlines, United, and Delta had already stopped flights from China. So it didn't matter. Like, it was just, he was, like he always does, following other people and pretending he's a leader.
He overrode many of the things he did. He was much less important to me. Now, with that all being said, he's been there for years. He was respected. He lost a lot of the respect because of COVID, but he was respected. And on COVID, if you know what I did, I let the governors run their states. And many of the governors opened up their states. Some of them didn't. Florida, by the way, was closed. But if you take a look at Henry McMaster, he had his state, South Carolina, open. You take a look at South Dakota. Take a look at Tennessee.
South Dakota. He was just in South Dakota. That's why he's saying that. By the way, it's a lot easier to have an open state when you can walk for miles and not see another human being.
A lot of the states were not closed. And it's the federalist system. I allowed the governors to do that. I also allowed Democrat governors to do that. But
also, for the record, That's the law. He didn't allow them to do it. That's the law. Even when we declare an emergency, a national emergency, it has to be in coordination with the states, period. You have to.
I don't think none of them did it.
Wouldn't you like to go back and try to clip his wings? This guy was pushing mask mandates on us. He wanted the most extreme measure at every turn.
Okay, look, I'm not one that blames a system that if you're civil service or if you have some other protection that you can't get fired, because I've done things that are a lot worse than that.
You're big on the firing.
So yeah, I
No, he isn't.
fired a lot of people. I fired
No, you haven't.
Comey, and that was one of the great firings.
You had somebody else do
I
it.
fired Comey, and then I fired a lot of other people in the FBI, and they were great firings because the deep state, and they were at work, and they were not good people. But I was not a big fan of Fauci. If you look at Ron DeSanctimonious, this guy said the greatest things. I can give you articles that Fauci's great. He's wonderful. We love him. We don't do anything without Fauci. This went on for months.
But he didn't listen to Fauci.
He did 100%. Look,
He shut down Florida
I will
for a
give
month.
you. He shut down Florida.
For a month.
Oh, he shut it down for a lot longer. He shut down the beaches. He shut down the roads. He shut down a hospital. He was shutting down everything. He also
Shut down hospitals.
had long lines of people getting the jab, as he called it. Let's all go get the jab. The guy tried to change.
Asshat, you were telling people to do it. His plan, Trump's plan, was that the military was going to give people inoculations in the parking lots of Walmart, like a fucking TV movie version of World War Z.
History in Florida. Now, eventually Florida was open, but a lot of these other governors didn't shut down
Eventually,
at
a month
all.
later.
South Dakota didn't shut down. McMaster, South Carolina, didn't shut down. Tennessee, there are states that didn't shut down at all.
Yeah, and their death toll went
They
up.
probably did the best job.
But Ron DeSantis was under a lot of pressure, especially given the population, the age of a lot of Florida's citizens.
I'm not trying to blame anybody, but he should
Yes,
say,
you are.
I closed it down. Eventually we opened it, but I closed it down. But I gave him the right to keep it open. If he wanted to, I let the governors make the determination as to whether or not to close it down.
But let me ask you this, because this is the #1 question I asked my audience. What would you like me to ask President Trump? These are your fans.
Okay.
This is the #1 question they wanted me to ask you. That you shut the country down for 6 weeks in spring of 2020. Operation Warp Speed.
Excuse me.
Rush through.
Excuse me.
Let me
Wait.
answer.
Excuse me. It's Operation Fartsteed. Thank you.
Captain's log.
Yeah.
No, but
Question.
Megan,
This is my audience's question. I gotta get it
know,
out.
But I let the governors shut down. Some did and some didn't.
Okay.
Some didn't shut down at all.
Operation Warp Speed, though.
Yeah.
That was
Operation Fartsteed.
Captain's log.
on the vaccines. They were rushed through. They have helped, but also hurt a lot of people. And your White
Citation needed.
House actually supported mask mandates. So wouldn't you like a do-over on any of that?
Look, when this came in, nobody knew what the hell it was. It sounded like an ancient, pandemic. You thought that was from 200 years ago or from 1917. We never thought you'd have a pandemic. Nobody had any idea.
Nobody had any idea. Fuck, we've had swine flu and SARS and all kinds of shit, and everybody's like, dude, it's just a matter of time before one of these fucking things jumps ship and cascades across the whole fucking world. We're all interconnected. Nobody thought about it. The Obama administration left you a manual for when it happens.
We got word that bad things were happening in China right around the Wuhan clinic. And I was the one that said it was in the Wuhan clinic. And, I stuck with it, and it was absolutely. It came out of the Wuhan clinic. But you take a look.
The clinic. I thought it was the lab, but apparently they had a clinic where they were doing stuff. The clinic. It's the clinic leak theory now.
And what we did was, this was brand new. Nobody knew what the hell it was. There's dust. Somebody said there's dust coming in from China, and it's killing people in.
Dust. No one said there's dust coming in from China that's killing people. Dust? This motherfucker. Dust.
Italy, and it's killing people in France, and
Dusted. Well, in Italy, the things are
it's
dusted.
going to kill people here. And by the way, I shut it down to China. That was a
Deadly
big
dust.
move. I saved thousands, hundreds of thousands of lives by doing it.
From the evil dust.
But honestly, I don't blame a lot of people because nobody knew what it was. Now we do understand it somewhat. Nobody really understands it even now fully. But nobody knew what COVID.
Yes, they do. It's a coronavirus. What do you mean fully? Of course they do. That's like saying, now we know the earth is basically round, but nobody really knows fully.
It was, and it wasn't even a name. I called it the China virus. I still do. I call it the China virus. It came out of China. They call it COVID and COVID-19.
Because of the year it came out, 2019.
As far as the vaccine's concerned, you had the original COVID, and the vaccine had an impact on that. And there are some people, I will tell you, some friends of mine that are Democrat, I think they voted for me, but they're Democrat, very smart people, top people. They say, I don't understand one thing. Why don't you talk more about the vaccine? It was one of the greatest things you've ever done. Now think of that. They say to me, and I say, I'm not going to talk about it one way or the other. First of all, no mandates. I don't want mandates. I never had mandates. Florida sort of had a mandate because they were giving the vaccine. They were demanding everybody take the vaccine. It's another thing.
No, they weren't. And giving it to everyone versus demanding. This is how you get a guy who can't process consent.
But no mandates, no anything. I didn't demand anybody take it. But I have people on the other side, not my side, although probably there's some on my side too.
Jesus.
They said, you saved 100 million people because I got it done in 9 months as opposed to 5 years to 12 years.
Look, the safety tests are still ongoing and the boosters are continuing to be made. Oh, fucking hell. Like the idea that this dickhead just thinks like he can brag on how fast he got it done because of Operation Fart Steed.
Captain's log.
And yet at the same time go, it's good, take it, but don't take it because it was rushed through.
A lot of people
You're proud of it.
No, I'm not proud of it. I'm saying what Democrats think.
I'm not proud of it. Democrats are proud of me for it. The fuck?
I get it. I mean, and I'm not somebody who denies some of the good that the vaccines did. I lived through that too. But of course, a lot of people have been vaccine injured. And that's one of the questions. Those people
and it's your fault.
Are mad that they were rushed through and that they can't sue.
Well, I never gave mandates, and people have to make up their own, make their own decision. As far as I'm concerned, now some places
do your own research.
Had mandates, very strong mandates, largely Democrat governors and probably some Republicans, et cetera, et cetera. But there are Democrats that say, why aren't you talking about that? It's one of the...
No, there aren't.
They really believe strongly. One said, and this is very smart people, they said...
Smart Democrats.
You saved 100 million people worldwide. In 1917, it could have been as...
Oh, God, 1918.
Much as 100 million. It ended the First World War because all the soldiers were dying of this horrible disease of 1917. It actually ended the First World War. The soldiers were dying. They was on the lines. They're fighting, and they're dying of this horrible disease. They said, you might have saved 100 million people, 50 million people. Why aren't you talking about it? I said, I'm not talking about it. But what I did do is I got something done for that specific thing. I also got Regeneron, and I got a lot of therapeutics done, which were great. I also got the robes and the leather and the rubber and all of the different...
What? The what? What? Wait a minute. Hold on. What? The robes and the leather and the rubber? What kind of eyes wide shut fucking Illuminati shit are we talking about? He can't even look at her and not go, the rubber and the leather and the fucking robes and the fucking... Whoosh.
Great. I also got the robes and the leather and the rubber and all of the different things, the ventilators. We did a...
What? The leather? What? Hold on. I have to roll that back just so we can get it clean, CSL.
And the rubber and all of the different...
Hold on. Shit.
Which were great. I also got the robes and the leather and the rubber and all of the different things, the ventilators. We did a tremendous job. And it's never... they appreciated what I did with the economy. I got a lot of good marks on economy. I got a lot of good marks on a lot of...
Yeah, because COVID hid your recession.
A lot of things. Rebuilding the military, getting rid of ISIS, the biggest tax cuts in history.
Supreme Court.
I never got, I think, the credit that I deserve on COVID. And I'll tell you the way I...
Because you're not copping to it now. You didn't get the credit because you're not asking for it because your own voters think it's a murder scheme. They don't believe it. They think it's a hoax.
Look at it. It came in and nobody knew it was. We have to put ourselves back then. I had a meeting and we had a lot of professionals in the Oval Office. They say, sir, something bad is happening in the world. I said, what's that? And they said, people are dying. They're dying in China, in this area, and there was pictures of body bags all over the place, black body bags, satellite pictures, and they were all over. I said, that's strange. And then they'd have another meeting the next day, and then.
In December of 2019, on my radio show, over Christmas break, from my dad's house where I was visiting while I did that show, you guys will recall, those who have been around for years, who watch the radio show, Hal Sparks' radio program, Megaworldwide, you'll recall that I had just gotten back from China a couple of weeks before, and I was like, it's coming, and it's going to suck. If you feel sick at all, stay home. Avoid other people, because you don't want to spread this. It's awful. I knew what it was. It's called COVID-19 because when they identified it.
Next day and the next day, and all of a sudden, they had something where the first person died in the United States, and then another.
Yeah.
And then it died. Then they started dying all over Italy and all over Europe. Nobody really knew what it was, Megyn.
I hear you. Let's shift gears and talk about trans and women's rights.
Oh, fuck off. All right, we're going to take a pause from this if we can. We'll come back to this interview later. I want to check in. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Sorry if I'm very twitchy today. My neck is killing me. So I'm doing my best, but I am stretching the whole time, and I'm trying to keep some fluidity in my head. You know, it's just a thing. I hope it's okay. It's just, yeah. So, Delta was way worse. But anyways, this is Comer. They just charged Hunter Biden with lying on his gun registration form. And something, by the way, the defense team for Hunter Biden is going to argue against its constitutionality, which is a Republican argument against some of the questions on the form, including are you an addict? Were you using drugs? Are you using drugs? And they're also, according to their reply, they're saying we're actually going to prove that he wasn't using drugs and he didn't believe himself to be an addict at that time because he'd actually been through rehab and he wasn't using when he bought the gun, which means even if he relapses later, that's not lying on the form. So bye. So here's this is after the charge. This is all they're going to get, by the way.
That's one of about a dozen crimes that Hunter Biden's committed.
Nope. That's one. And all the rest of them are tax crimes, which are the same crime.
And ironically, that's the one crime that he committed that you cannot tie Joe Biden into.
Well, you can't tie Joe Biden to any of them, quite frankly. So far.
So we'll see what happens with the other 11 or so crimes that the president's son's committed.
It sounds like you're still expressing the skepticism here. I mean, the idea that you wanted an indictment from your perspective here, that's not enough.
An indictment for money laundering, violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, tax
also something they don't believe should actually be a crime.
Evasion, the list goes on and on. You've never heard me say anything about gun charges. So,
the irony.
Again, that's the one crime he's committed that you cannot tie to Joe Biden.
What does this indictment do? Do you think it shows that he's not politicized?
Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. That was an easy charge. You've heard the IRS whistleblowers testify in the Oversight Committee as to all the
how stupid they were.
Tax evasion crimes. And according to the whistleblowers, Weiss, when he was the U.S. attorney, let the statute of limitations expire on some of the tax crimes, but not all the tax crimes. So I'm still holding out hope.
Yeah, it's that fucking, you know what? I blame the Earth for going around the sun at the speed that it goes. Good Lord.
That Weiss does the right thing. This is the one charge, the least of all the dozen crimes he's committed, the one charge.
Allegedly, by the way, I think it's important that a member of Congress says allegedly.
The one crime that Joe Biden wasn't
suggesting
involved.
There's something nefarious there, that they're trying to keep it in that lane and keep it away from your investigation?
Well, all I'm saying is the facts. This is the one crime the president's son's committed.
But that sounds like you're suggesting there's some foul play going on with how they're handling these.
I don't know what. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just stating the obvious.
Yeah, you're suggesting a ham sandwich that's been sitting on a windowsill for a year and a half. If people get downwind from you. Yeah, the NRA is backing Hunter on the gun charge. I find that awesome. All right, here we go. Oh. Play, you silly thing.
This is the one crime he committed that you can't tie Joe Biden into.
So do you think it has any impact on the impeachment inquiry at all?
Absolutely not.
Right.
And what's your response to McCarthy facing threats to oust him?
I mean, what do you mean?
Like you said this morning, to bring it on, like we're
Yeah.
not threatening to.
No, I mean, we need to fund the government and prevent a shutdown and move forward. I want to make cuts as bad as anyone. I hope that we can get agreement on that. I recognize that we have a Senate that doesn't want to cut anything and a president that sure as heck doesn't want to cut anything. So it's difficult when you're 1/3 of the pie, but certainly we need to do everything we can to
half of 1/3.
keep the government open. That should be our priority over the next 2.5 weeks.
What is the hard evidence?
Ouch. That sucks. Because the funding for his committee and their investigation is under, will also stop. Like they have to stop what they're doing. Now, the defense doesn't have to do that. The White House doesn't have to, because that's a private attack on the president. And the same thing with Hunter Biden's lawyers and anybody else who's involved in this. They can keep working.
That President Biden should be impeached.
What is the hard? I haven't said he should be impeached. No, you all are writing stories about impeachment. This is impeachment inquiry. But we've already proven the president lied about ever speaking
No, they haven't.
to or meeting with all these foreign nationals that were wiring his family's money. His family
Nope.
only got $20 million from foreign nationals, and nobody knows one single thing they did to earn that money. That should.
All right. Again, I'm sick of breaking this shit down. It's one of the lamest lies he tells. Like all investment brokers and investment groups, they shepherd the money and make sure it gets spent where it's supposed to get spent on behalf of the investor, and then they get a piece of the profits if it works out.
Be a national security concern to anyone. So with this inquiry, we're going to continue to investigate. Thank goodness we're investigating because, some of you are doing a good job, but some of you haven't done a good job reporting on all the suspicious activity from the Biden family. So we're not talking about impeachment. We're talking about impeachment inquiry to give me the tools to be able to get all the
to make up a crime and maybe to pretend that there's a there. Dude, it's fucking been 3 years. Why would you need an inquiry?
information that we need to wrap up this investigation.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey,
wrap it up. Yeah, like fish. Jesus. All right, I have to. We'll jump into this one, and then I think I'm gonna have to pull it tonight. I'm just gonna finish this part of this. We'll see if there's anything to this. This is in line with what we just saw. You're watching Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. Thanks. Sorry I was off yesterday. Like I said, my neck's killing me. I should be better soon, but I missed you guys, so here I am. Pardon me for being fidgety, like a kid in class who's got to piss. But I have said there's no evidence, so I feel personally attacked by this. But we'll see what
Speaker Kevin McCarthy open up an impeachment inquiry into President Biden, working to appease far-right lawmakers who have threatened to oust him if he fails to.
And he's reading an article from somebody that he thinks that isn't supportive of this, I suppose.
To accede to their demands for deep spending cuts that would force a government shutdown at the end of the month.
Yeah, Comer's not even on board with that. They don't have the votes.
So the New York Times is saying McCarthy is only doing the inquiry because
they don't have any evidence, and unless they keep looking, they're never going to find any. Never mind the fact that it's not there. Benghazi, anyone?
The spending bill. Now, that is a possibility. I want you to know, because McCarthy has said on Fox about a month ago that if we don't get a bill, we don't get a spending bill. I mean, we're going to have to cut and shut down everything, including any kind of inquiry or impeachment hearing. Oh, I get it.
That's just true, fucko. If you shut down the government, that's all of the government. There's some crucial things that continue no matter what, like the military. But yeah, all the rando like fucking snipe hunts in the Congress certainly get shut down.
Yeah, I'm not playing that game.
It's not a game, dum-dum. It's just materially true.
You want to shut down the impeachment inquiry because you have to shut down the government?
The impeachment inquiry is coming from the government. You do realize the House caucus, the Freedom Caucasians are the government, right? It's a government action.
You don't have to do that, but
yes, you do.
They don't scare me. I don't care.
Who gives a fuck what you think?
I don't care. I don't expect you actually to do anything anyway.
Right. This fucking impeachment inquiry is going to be bullshit anyways. They're not looking into stuff. I mean, you think Comer's actually looking for anything? Are you fucking out of your mind? This is crazy.
So, what
Jesus.
do I have to lose?
This asshole needs to try harder.
These are empty threats from empty suits.
Is that the mission statement of the Glenn Beck Show?
For those of us who aren't playing a game.
You mean the people who, anybody who isn't involved in the impeachment inquiry, which is just a game?
Who actually believe that,
just flat?
I don't care who it is. I don't care if it was Donald Trump or if it was Joe Biden. I don't care if it was Ronald Reagan. If they break the law.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and go, I kind of think you do.
They should be impeached or imprisoned.
Okay, so you're good with the whole, like, classified documents thing and fucking with the election. And, I mean, so you do take seriously that the court, the judge, particularly in the E. Jean Carroll, said that according to the general understanding of the word rapist, Donald Trump is one. You're down with that. Okay, cool. How about Jared and his $3 billion?
If they break the law, not
right. That would be that's where you run aground with this whole impeachment inquiry thing. If they break the law part.
Witch hunts. Not witch hunts. And not small little laws that are, like
the Espionage Act?
Honestly, Bill Clinton, he should have paid some price for perjury. Now, at the time, I thought he should be impeached because he lied.
You're an asshole.
Lied to the American people. How much money did we spend? How much time did we waste?
Right. Turning the Whitewater case into a blowjob investigation.
On that.
Right. Yeah. We know Republicans are terrible shepherds of government money, of taxpayer money. They're idiot. Like, they're the last people you want to put in charge. They will waste it on snipe hunts. We know this.
But I think Hillary missed the biggest chance in the world. She should have just thrown his suitcases out on the lawn of that would probably be, and he's president, so she couldn't. She should have just packed up a suitcase, left the White House and say, I fully support him as president of the United States, but we have our issues with our marriage. And
or they worked their way through it like adults and they stayed married. I mean, obviously, your standard for what a true relationship is Donald Three Wives Trump.
He lied to me. She would have been the most popular person in the world.
Also, for the record, who says? He might have been fighting people knowing about shit, in the public, and he might have been embarrassed by the knowledge of what was going on. But I got to tell you, they were a couple from the 70s. The boomers from a particular era had a lot more open and understanding relationships than maybe now or previous.
World. But
and I don't care.
She didn't. This isn't that. What this impeachment is
just a hunt. It's like Whitewater Squared.
All about. And this is not an impeachment proceeding. This is an impeachment investigation.
No, it's an inquiry. They're not investigating the impeachment, and they're certainly not investigating actual shit. They are inquiring about certain things. They need evidence. They need information they can turn into evidence. That's what they think.
So now federal investigators can, Congress has the ability for warrants to look into all of it, where they were boxed in. Now they have full authority to look into anything they want to look into.
Yawn. And first of all, no, they don't. I got news for you. all of this is only going to be shit, and this is going to drive them crazy, that may have happened while Biden was vice president. I got news for you. Nothing about any of his meetings or his dinners or anywhere he fucking went in 2017 is the fucking business of the government any more than it is anybody else's. He wasn't running a fucking shadow government while he was doing it. It's nobody's fucking business. And by the way, I would love to see Republicans make the case that they believe that people out of office should be held to an oath standard. Knock yourself out. Work that out. Yeah. Go after, like Jim Jordan.
That's important because we're not just going on some hunt at the beach with a metal detector. We know specifically what we're looking for.
Okay. And you haven't found it yet. You're aware of that. So you know what you're looking for, but you haven't found it. So this is about keeping looking.
When you're going in and taking Donald Trump, what they did was they found the guy and then they said, let's find a crime.
No. The documents case, they didn't make him call Raffensperger and fucking Kemp. They didn't make him lie about giving money to charity. They didn't make him lie about lying to banks and the IRS in two different directions. They didn't look, and people knew about that shit for years.
There is a crime going on here. Now, is the president directly involved? Well, I don't know how you say he's not.
Like this, he's not.
How do you possibly say that?
It's like this. You go, he's not.
We've looked into the business ventures. Now, I don't say us. I mean, the Congress has looked into it. We've had several whistleblowers. Investigations have shown that Joe Biden lied. This is the first one.
No.
Well, he doesn't know. He lied over and over again when he said, I have no knowledge of my son's business deals. More specifically, I've never discussed it with my son ever.
Yeah, again, even the shit you're talking about as evidence that you've shown does not prove that or show that at all. Him calling his son every fucking day for a decade, and Devin Archer going, in 10 years, 20 of those days were when he was at meetings, and he asked people how the weather was and how fishing was and hung up.
Okay, we know that's a lie because
no, it isn't.
Now we have eyewitnesses.
Eyewitnesses, ear witnesses?
Even the head of Burisma Holdings, the Ukrainian
where's he?
Energy company.
The corrupt guy that you said was corrupt and very corrupt?
According to the intelligence, according to eyewitnesses, he was involved in, what was it, under 100 meetings. I think they were saying.
Well, yeah, way under, like 0. Also, I don't know where this stat's coming from. I've looked into a bunch of this shit. How do you say Biden only worth $10 million in 2 properties? Yes, he's worth 8.
Under 100 meetings. He would just pop in with business associates in the middle of a business deal.
No, he didn't.
Just be safe. Under 1 million meetings.
Right.
We can be safe in that one, I think.
Okay. Apparently.
Also, the meetings they're referencing, as far as the one dinner, was for the World Food Program that Biden showed up to. It was for the World Food Program, which Hunter Biden was the head of for a while, for 2 years, I think. And it was after Biden had left office. There were lots of people at that dinner. Fuck off.
Jolkevsky, he's the guy who is with Burisma. He has 17 audio recordings of
no, he does not.
Conversations with the Bidens, 2 of which purportedly involve
Purportedly is a good word.
President Joe Biden.
I'd love to hear him. Fire him up.
So that would be a problem. The WhatsApp message.
You mean the one that looks like an iMessage and has a picture attached to it that from Hunter Biden that was from an event that was after these messages were sent?
Included in the testimony by the IRS whistleblower further indicate Joe's involvement in Hunter's business affairs. One message sent to Chinese businessman Henry Zhao, Hunter threatened to use his father's political power to extort unfulfilled promises and assurance
in 2017
from Zhao. I'm
in 2017
sitting here with my father
in 2017,
and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Hunter also
right again. I thought the Chinese had the Bidens on a short leash. It sounds like Hunter is slapping the Chinese around in this argument. Get me my bribe money or else. It's super weird.
So said he had an ability to forever hold a grudge that you will regret. The man sitting next to me and every person he knows will make your life a living hell if you don't meet our demands. Now,
what were those demands? Now, was he telling the truth? Now, was that after Biden had left office?
Maybe that was Hunter, in a drug rage and he wasn't sitting next to his dad. That is a possibility.
And they're denying it's even real. So, this is a perfect thing to investigate.
Yes.
Right? We need to find the answer. Obviously, if that is real.
Oh, you don't have to investigate it. You have the messages. You allegedly have the messages. Check the data. Check the metadata. His attorneys say it's not real.
And he was in the room. That's a massive problem.
Wouldn't you want that? Because this is easy. All you have to do is just geo-track the message.
Yeah, that's easy to do. You can definitely geo-track someone who, WhatsApp messages that are in the president's house. And I'm sure he's not using a VPN or any of that stuff. Again, knock yourself the fuck out.
And I believe we know it was in the house. It came from the house, but they won't tell us if Joe Biden was there. That's, again, easy. Why wouldn't, if you were innocent and you weren't there, why wouldn't you say, yeah, I was, over here. I was at the other house. I was on the beach. I was at the White House. Why wouldn't you say that?
Easily provable.
Because you're a private citizen.
Provable.
Easily provable. But still, even if he was in the same house, doesn't mean he was sitting next to each other. But It is smoke. Then you have Devin.
It's actually steam, but sure. Just saying.
Archer, who testified to at least 24 times that Joe spoke with his son's business associates.
Oh, no. That's not what he said. I read the testimony. What did he say? He said 20 times that he remembers. And by the way, that's not an exact number. That's the high number that he says. Hunter put him on speakerphone when there were other people around, and he said, "Hi, guys, how's the weather?" He never discussed business. Not ever. In any of those calls, according to Devin Archer, under oath.
And this has credibility because the White House changed the narrative after that testimony. I never discussed any business dealings. Now, I've never been in business with my son.
No, they also said it the other way. They've said it they've answered the question since then and said never discuss business dealings. All of it. They were specifically tailoring that answer to the specific question that was asked.
That's a huge difference.
No, it isn't.
Also, the vice president used his office to coordinate with Hunter Biden's business partners about Hunter's role in Burisma. There is an FD 1023, that's for confidential sources.
Yeah, Rudy Giuliani. That's why nobody wants to say who it is.
Containing intel from a, quote, highly credible confidential human source.
Where none of the stuff this person has said has materially shown up to be true.
That is offering further evidence that the then vice president was instrumental in the firing of Ukrainian prosecutor investigating Burisma and
wait, say what?
Instrumental in that is offering further evidence that the then vice president was instrumental in the firing of Ukrainian prosecutor investigating Burisma, and he was paid $10 million. The Bidens were for
no. Okay, so Zlochevsky paid off the a dude he had on a short leash in the tax department like $5 million in cash. It was one of the things that got him busted. And also he had Shokin was getting paid on the regular as well. Shokin was not fired by Poroshenko, by the way. as much as people want to shorthand this shit, he was voted out by Parliament. People know this, right? People are aware of this. That Viktor Shokin was not fired by Joe Biden or fired by Viktor Poroshenko or Petro Poroshenko. They had a vote in the Parliament. It was like 63-38, 63-37 to oust him. They've been trying to do it for a while. Petro Poroshenko wouldn't hold the vote. It wasn't that he wouldn't fire him. He wouldn't hold the vote. The Parliament fired this fucker. And oh, by the way, I know. Let's see. There's some. I'm sure there are some folks who think that I'm talking out of my posterior. So, if I may, let me see. Open up the notions and the things, and I've got a. I know I've saved this note here somewhere. There you are. Pop this guy up, and then we go to where did I have it? It's under here. And then we go down to this. Yeah. There you go, if I may. Ukraine oust Viktor Shokin, top prosecutor, political stability hangs in the balance. Viktor Shokin, who was ousted on Tuesday as prosecutor general of Ukraine. Bowing to pressure from international donors, plural, the Ukrainian parliament voted on Tuesday to remove a prosecutor general who had clung to power for months despite visible signs of corruption. This is an article from then. Yeah. Let's see. And by the way, 2 months later, they two of Shokin's his primary investigator and one of the other deputies in his office were discovered with diamonds, $400,000 in cash, and guns as part of a bribery scheme that would not have been found had he not been ousted. But whatever, who am I to even bring it up?
For his role in firing the prosecutor. Okay, we know he fired the prosecutor.
No. What we know is that the parliament of Ukraine voted him out. That's what we know. We also know that Petro Poroshenko wasn't holding a vote or wasn't bringing it to a vote, which was, again, all of these decisions had to be made through the parliament because they had such corruption issues. They wanted it to be more participatory. We know this, like this is fucking obvious. Yeah. Need a tens unit and a hand element. Oh, indeed. We'll get there. Look at this dipshit.
We know he lied.
Nope.
On videotape to a panel, at the Foreign Affairs Council or whatever it is. And he was talking about it and saying, look, Barack knew it. Barack was with me. This guy had to go. No, that's not true. The White House.
Yes, it is.
House now has had to produce the records that show the White House wanted Shokin, said he was fine.
No. They said the entire government was meeting their benchmarks. One of the benchmarks that had not been met, though, of many, was that Shokin was still on board.
The Department said he was fine. The EU.
No, they didn't.
All said he was doing a great job.
No, they didn't. They were talking about the Ukrainian government as a whole.
So he lied. Why?
Because
then a review of bank records conducted by the House Oversight Committee confirmed that at least 9 Biden family members, including children, received millions in diluted payments from foreign companies.
Diluted?
Before, during, and shortly after Joe's vice presidency.
Mm-hmm. First of all, the before part, really? What power did he have over it before? During, citation needed. After, didn't happen, but nobody gives a shit.
What are the Biden children? I mean, the children. What are they getting?
Hunter owed child support, and he also had borrowed money. He also had gone into business with his relatives, with James. Deals didn't go through, and so everybody got their slice. Like, get the fuck out of here.
And what are they providing?
Well, considering Bo's death, one of the things Hunter was doing was providing for their education and giving money to them to take care of them because Bo is dead.
When they say there is no evidence, there's lots of evidence.
Nope.
Now, that doesn't mean that, I believe this is so. I talked to Megyn Kelly yesterday.
So she just, did the court order her to, like, talk to every misogynistic dickhead in her sphere? Jesus Christ. Is this some sort of awful community service that Megyn got?
I said, Megyn, you're an attorney. I'm not. If I looked at this, I would say this is an open and shut case just on what we have. And she said, oh, my gosh, yes.
That's because you're both stupid.
Then you have the testimony of the IRS whistleblowers. Federal prosecutors.
The three dudes who wanted to include shit from the laptop, which would have capsized all the other charges. Go ahead.
Concealed critical documents from tax investigators probing Hunter Biden, while officials from the Justice Department sought to undermine the IRS's investigative efforts. One of the whistleblowers had previously alleged in May that his investigative team had been removed from the Biden tax probe
because it was this big compared to the billions of dollars other people were fucking with, and he'd wasted years doing it and never come up with anything other than $2 million in non-paid taxes that he ultimately ended up paying.
At the behest of the DOJ. In addition to the alleged interference in the IRS tax probe, the DOJ also sought to give legal immunity to Hunter regarding charges filed against him earlier this year. It was a Delaware judge who said, I'm sorry, have you ever done a deal like this ever before, DOJ? Oh, not that we can recall.
Yeah. By the way, they specified, they've been working on specifying for the tax stuff, but ultimately, because they came to the terms on this deal already, that when they rescinded it and they went back on this particular deal, and it wasn't because Hunter had done anything wrong, basically they violated his Fifth Amendment rights. So a bunch of this other shit's going to be thrown out just because they were idiots. I mean, literally, this is going to be the most frustrating thing for these assholes, is that that's how it's going to play out. That because they wanted this deal to, which would have been a slap on the wrist in their opinion and wouldn't have gone, like, all of it's going to get thrown out because they violated his Fifth Amendment rights. This is the same thing. Remember when Bill Cosby got out because the prosecutor had made a deal? Look, if you cop in this civil plea and pay this woman off, we won't charge you with the information you give when you cop to it in civil court. And then they did. That's a violation of his Fifth Amendment rights, and that's why Bill Cosby walked free. Like, even when somebody's guilty, you can fuck up the case this way. This is what these idiots don't seem to understand.
So you have the lies. Okay, that's one thing.
Nope.
Then you have the Biden family, not just Hunter. They're trying to just make this about Hunter. You have 9 family members.
Gee, it's almost like Hunter, who made more money than anybody, was giving money to relatives for stuff like their education.
Having as many as 22 offshore accounts. Some of them.
No. Hi, stupid. No. You don't, they aren't offshore accounts. They're incorporated in Delaware, stupid. Oy.
Held by children.
No, none of the children had it. They're children compared to the 80-year-old patriarch.
Funneling millions of dollars. We need to know what those offshore accounts do.
They're not offshore.
You have now, I think the number is 250, 200. I can't even keep up with it. Where the Treasury was alerted by banks saying this is money laundering.
No. Anything over $10,000 gets an automatic suspicious activity report. Automatic. Here's what you do, Glenn. This is super easy. Next time you talk to a Trump, ask them how many fucking times Alan Weisselberg or somebody in the office has had to talk to banks or explain any of these things where they're... Oh, sorry, my mom is calling. Hold on. She doesn't know that I'm on the show. Give me 1 second. I'll BRB. My uncle's in the hospital, so I Hi, folks. Sorry, my uncle's home from the hospital, but he's on a ventilator and all kinds of other stuff. So, if my mom calls about that, I can, I got to take the call. Just saying. Um, so back to this, and then I'm gonna call her right back. Everything's okay. It'll, it can wait. It wasn't instant news as you do. So yeah. Where were we? Oh yes.
And it was all tied to those offshore accounts that
they're not offshore. I fucking hate this. He just made this up. He's just making this up. They're not offshore accounts. Literally, these LLCs are fucking incorporated in Delaware. There's only one that wasn't, and that was the one in Cyprus, which is, by the way, where Wilbur fucking Ross ran the Bank of Cyprus. And Trump put him in charge of the Treasury.
Went to the Biden family. Now, if Grandpa didn't know this, is the whole family in this and the only one that's clean is Grandpa? And if that's true...
First of all, they're not dirty, asshat. Secondly, he was vice president at the time during part of this. He was doing other shit. Most of his, engagement with this stuff was stiff-arming it so that it wouldn't get its stank on him even if there was the assumption of impropriety.
True. How come the DOJ is doing everything they can to thwart any investigation?
They're not. Again, there's a lot of premises in this that he just kind of throws up, including the offshore accounts shit. Like, so this is just okay now? This is just how we talk about... This is how the press... This is how the dude who calls legacy media, quote unquote, fake news. This is how we talk about court cases. Sorry, Jackie, I can't make this, I can't square this circle for you.
I don't know, guys. I don't think this is, I lied about sex. This certainly isn't about a perfect phone call.
What was perfect about the phone call, Glenn? The fact that Trump thought it was a perfect phone call because Rudy was going to say the criminal part in person, like he would send Carter Page to carry the actual paperwork on stuff, never communicating either where it could be recorded or in electronic form.
In fact, that perfect phone call, which he was impeached for, was regarding this.
No, it wasn't. It was to create the illusion that there was impropriety going on. Just start the investigation. Doesn't even have to work out. We just need you to announce it.
This was the Trump phone call. What the hell was happening with Burisma?
Nothing. At that point, Hunter no longer worked for them, and Joe Biden never had a connection to them, as we now know.
All kinds of criminal activity was going on.
Well, Zlochevsky, sure. But, and Shokin taking bribes to not go after him.
Do you have any information on that? That's what that was all about.
No, it wasn't. It was about creating a fake scandal where there was none.
Everything you know about Ukraine is a lie.
Well, I mean, the way you tell it, sure.
Everything you think you know about Ukraine is a lie.
I think I know that it was a former Soviet satellite state, and it was its borders pre-2014 were pretty sound and had gone back to 1991 and included Crimea. I know obviously, if I'm to take Glenn Beck at his word, I, for example, believe that the women and children of Bucha did not deserve to be raped and murdered because of a territorial dispute that Vladimir Putin decides he wants to make his legacy. Now, obviously, Glenn disagrees. Obviously, Glenn thinks that the women and children of Bucha deserved what happened to them, because he's saying what I believe is a lie. And so the truth, I suppose, would be the parallel, the opposite.
The American people need to know, one, are our highest officials and our highest offices up for sale?
No, they're not.
Can you buy it? Can you buy it?
No, you cannot.
I hope to God the people of America say no, or
no, they aren't. Yes, no, we're a resounding no.
We become, I don't know, a third world country. We become Venezuela.
No, we aren't. We're not Venezuela. We're not even close to Venezuela. As a matter of fact, Venezuela is a little fucked right now. I don't know if you've checked their inflation, but it becomes a fairly hysterical parallel.
That's the number one thing.
Yeah, and it's okay handled.
The second thing that you really need to know is our Justice Department, is our IRS, is everything just a weapon now of the guy who possibly sold his office?
No, it isn't. Okay, handled, cool.
Can we trust anyone in the White House?
Yes, you can.
Anyone in the Justice Department? Anyone? Is there anyone there?
Well, I mean, obviously the IRS guys who call themselves whistleblowers and a couple of those other fucks are, Trump cultists, but everybody else, yeah.
All of this needs to be decided, and it is really important that we come to an answer. Even if Joe Biden walked out today and was hit by a bus, this needs to be
fairly certain the president's not going to get hit by a bus. But wishing it is a little gross.
Be investigated and needs to be cleared, because
no, it doesn't. You don't just throw shit against the wall and see what the fuck, and then pretend that it needs to be looked into because Trump is guilty as shit.
We must send a message. This will not stand.
Oh, look out, tough guy. I have a message for you. Hold on, where's it? Here
I am like an idiot.
There you go. Put that in your book.
If it was done, I don't want any kangaroo courts. I want equal and blind justice for all.
Great. Then I would guess that you would be a little upset that after 4 fucking years, they haven't found anything that amounts to evidence. It's a lot of information, and it's a lot of conjecture, and it's a lot of shuffling dates to make people look guilty of shit that couldn't have possibly happened. And it's a lot of shitting on the Biden family for getting together on the anniversary of Bo's fucking death. But all right, that's that. I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna go take a break and ice my shoulder. I'm getting better. I am. Look, I have range of motion. It's just painful. I mean, it's not painful where I can't move or whatever. It's just it's kind of an aggravation. If that makes sense. I'm gonna go take care of myself. I will see you guys tomorrow at the morning show and the afternoon show. Full shows from now on. You can trust me on that. It's good. I'm gonna take care of myself. Don't worry. I'm on the mend. It's just a matter of taking care of myself and making sure I do. So that's I don't want anybody to worry. Yes, heat then ice. It's already had the heat, so we'll get the ice afterwards. Anyways, and I'm going to do another bath before I go to bed tonight. Fear not. Don't worry. I'll take care of myself. And you know what? The trick is, and it's a little gross. I got to be honest. There's a little, there's something I put in my bath water that, don't tell anybody. But if you dress a little bit of...